So today I'm going to talk about, I think it's my newest lens, and that's my 100 f2.8 macro. I got this lens a couple of years ago. I actually got a really good deal on it when a photographer I know was selling off a bunch of their lenses that they never used. And this one was in brand new condition. In fact, I don't think it was ever used before. So I decided I'd pick it up and give it a try. I ask that if you like this video that you click on the like button down below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click on the subscribe button and click on the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So today I'm doing something a little bit different in that I'm actually trying a different camera system out to do this video, and I decided to bring over the 70D that I usually use this lens on. Now I use this lens on 5D Mark IVs, I use this lens on my 70Ds, but it seems that it spends a lot of the time on my 70Ds. And one of the reasons that I like that is because using the crop camera, I get a 160 millimeter 2.8 macro out of the deal. And it actually works out really well for what I use. So I decided today I would show you both the camera and the lens as opposed to just the lens, and just describe a little bit more about what I like about this lens and what I don't like about this lens. So the first thing that I really like about this lens is that it's a macro. The other thing that I like about it is that it's a 2.8 aperture. Now, I talked about my other 100 f2 lens before, and I love that lens, and I really like this lens. The 2.8 over the 2 isn't a huge difference, but the macro is amazingly different. And that to this lens is what this lens is all about. I've used this lens for shooting headshots. I've used this lens for doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's not the purpose of this lens. The purpose of this lens is macro. And for macro, it does a wonderful job. It's a pro lens from Canon. It's the L series lens, as you can tell by the red band on the front of it. There's really not a lot to say about it other than it's a phenomenal lens. It does have the distance scale, which again, if you've listened to these videos, you'll know that that's one of the big selling points. It's one of the reasons I like the Pro series, is because you can actually set the distance scale and to know how far your subject is away from you, and away you go from there. I really like that feature. I find on macro I use it a little bit less, but at least it gets me close for the autofocus to take over. All right, so the settings on the side of the lens. You have 3 settings on the first button, and that is a focus range. Now what it does there is it limits the camera to where it's going to search for a focus. The first button says full, and what that does is it will focus from 0.3 meters all the way to infinity. The problem with that is if you have something that's really close to your camera and you're trying to focus on it, if you have it on that setting, it'll try to focus, and if it can't find it, it'll start going. And it'll go all the way into infinity. If it can't find the focus, it comes all the way back. It takes a lot of time, and it's just a lot of waste of the camera's energy and the lens energy trying to hunt for focus. So if you're going to do something closer up, then it has a really close focus at 0.3 to 0.5. So that would be if you're trying to photograph a flower or a bug or something close up. And it will not focus or try focusing past that 0.5 meter range. Now it also has another setting on it, which is 0.5 to infinity. So if I was shooting somebody's headshots and I knew they're not going to be closer to me than 0.5 meters, there's no sense having this left on the full focus setting because I don't need it to hunt down closer. So I can actually set it where I want to set it. The problem is if you forget where you've set it and you try to take a picture and it just will not focus. And you're sitting there going, well, why won't it focus on that person standing across the room? Oops, that's because I had it close focus. Or why won't it focus on this flower? Well, that's because I told it to focus at 0.5 meters to infinity. So that's the first setting on this camera. Very useful, very good idea. Next button is autofocus, manual focus. Same thing as all the other lenses. And the next button is image stabilizer. I really can't say that I've noticed the image stabilizing on here doing much good, but when you're down on the ground and you're shaking like a leaf trying to get that bug in focus, any little bit of help that you can get is well worth it. And if this image stabilizing helps me by 1% or 20% or 50%, I'll definitely take all the help I can get. Other than that, that's about it for the lens. It's a great lens. It's not the cheapest lens in the world, but at the same time, it's not the most expensive lens. If you're into macro photography, this is a nice lens to have. It works on both my crop sensor camera as well as my full-size sensor cameras. So it's a great all-around lens. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon, and get out there and take some pictures. Bye-bye now.